How we doing, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast. Here, as usual, I am Richie with my good friend, Mr. Idris Salam.
Good morning.
Yeah, a little early today. I haven't done a morning show in a while, at least not with you.
Yeah.
But good to see you. We have a lot to talk about.
Yes, sir.
It's going to be very interesting to see what becomes of the immediate future for the Aaron Judge home run chase. The Yankees are back home tonight against the Pittsburgh Pirates. And it's funny. We lost the World Series to them in 1960, as spoken of in the Bronx Tale.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we're playing them while Judge goes for number 60. I don't know if that's just super coincidental, but there have been a lot of coincidences with this home run race and the man he's chasing, the late Roger Maris. And, you know, these a lot of fans from all over the country are going to be looking to basically follow the Yankees in different ballparks to try to get lucky and catch that home run ball.
You know, and Judge was saying how he wanted to break it at Yankee Stadium.
Yeah.
It'd be nice, but as a Yankee fan, I like him to break it at Fenway, to be honest with you. Or break it against the Red Sox.
just bear with me. I'm actually going to look ahead at the Yankees schedule very quickly here.
I think he'll get it before that, but I would really like to see him get it against the Red Sox.
Yeah, it almost seems like it's appropriate. And the Red Sox are the series right after Pittsburgh.
Right. That would be priceless.
I
would think they might pitch around him in Boston just to avoid.
They can pitch around him only so much, though. We do have them at home.
Yeah.
So basically, we're looking at a 6-game homestand before heading over to Canada to play the Blue Jays for 3.
Yeah.
Then they're back at home.
Mm-hmm.
And Zappy's talking about he kind of hopes Judge cools down a little because Zappy bought up all 4 games from Monday, October 3rd to October 5th.
Yeah.
So that's going to be interesting, too, because they finished the season in Texas.
Yeah.
That was actually supposed to be the opening series of the year, but because of the delayed schedule,
exactly,
they pushed it back to the very end. But, I mean, we're talking potentially, I've read reports that 61 and 62 could be as valuable as $600K to possibly even $1 million.
Because you talk about the home run. I mean, I say the real home run record. No disrespect to Barry Bonds, because I still love Barry Bonds, but I would say Maris's record because it was clean, you know, and with Bonds, all that controversy, the Balco, steroids, and all that, you know, but 162, man, that's something, man.
Yeah, there's so many ways to look at all of it because I've said this in the past on many shows that people like Alex Rodriguez, people like Barry Bonds that took shortcuts.
Yeah,
I wholeheartedly believe that those guys never needed that stuff to be great. If you look at Bonds' career in Pittsburgh, it's already probably Hall of Fame worthy.
Exactly.
Before he took the shortcuts to become a human bobblehead and just hit a shit ton of home runs.
Right.
You know, if anything, I believe that it actually hurt Barry Bonds' overall ability to be an all-around player.
Right, because he wasn't as athletic as he was.
Yeah, because this is a guy that stole a lot of bases, you know, was a dynamic outfielder, and obviously he still had the pop even back then.
Yeah.
But, you know, there were certain players that I do believe that it was different for. Like guys like McGwire and Sosa, if you really look at their career trajectory versus guys like Canseco, Bonds, A-Rod. You know, Canseco, in my opinion, and you know, a lot of people don't like him, but he put it out there and basically said, steroids give you confidence.
Yeah.
But the hand-eye coordination and playing this game on a high level, they overstate what steroids does and doesn't do. And while I do agree with him to a level, it's still hard to vouch for any of these guys because of the fact that they took an unfair shortcut.
Right, I agree. That's why I hold that the Maris's record more, because Maris, I mean, 61 home runs in I think 154 games.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and pitching back then was pretty good. I
Yeah,
mean,
it was a different game, and I
yeah,
always feel that when you have less teams in the league,
yeah,
you have more stacked rosters because nowadays, in addition to a guy going 7 innings being rare, and with so many analytics pointing to bullpen matchups,
yeah,
and more teams means
right.
that you're going to have lower end pitching on a lot of teams,
Mm-hmm.
particularly teams that are just not that good. So there's a lot of ways to look at all of it on what is more difficult, what isn't. Travel obviously is one of those things where you can make an argument that today's players deal with more travel, but then again they deal with better amenities. So
Right.
there's always a catch either way on how you want to compare. The one thing that can't be denied though is that it really is a season for the ages because this man, whether he hits another home run this year or not, has broken the record for right-handed batters. That in itself is something phenomenal.
He's about to take this one down. The only issue I have about the whole thing is the Maris family. They said something I didn't really feel too well when they said they wanted Judge to come out and say that Maris's record was the official record, and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
Y'all didn't have to say that. Most people feel Maris's record is the official record. Judge doesn't have to come out and say I'm breaking the official home run record. Everyone knows.
I think there's a lot of tough feelings because I understand both sides. I think Aaron Judge is trying to be politically correct in the sense that he wants to acknowledge
Right.
that Barry Bonds was a phenomenal baseball player.
Right.
But having said that, I also think the Maris family feels that over the years,
Mm-hmm.
Roger was very disrespected by not just Yankee fans, but Major League Baseball. Posthumously finally getting recognized as that home run guy. I guess they were just hoping for Judge to do the all-in Yankee answer. And I think given Judge's position in the game
Mm-hmm.
and kind of being the face of baseball, I just think Judge wants to veer away from drawing enemies.
I agree.
And, like it or not, Willie Mays is the godfather to Barry Bonds. So if you're messing with Barry, now you're messing with his father, Bobby Bonds.
Right.
Now you're messing with Willie Mays.
Right. Other
And
great.
that's that's a very royal baseball family.
Right. That's why I had the issue. I was like, I don't feel they should have basically tried to twist his arm, to do that because you're causing division. I mean, we know what Maris did, and most people feel Maris's record is the official record, and it's a Yankee record.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying the Yankees are bigger than baseball, but come on now, the Yankees.
But truth be told, at the risk of sounding like a homer and possibly a little cocky,
Mm-hmm.
you go walk into Monument Park, and that could rival pretty much anything that anywhere else, Cooperstown included, has to offer.
Yeah, in any sport.
In any sport, it's comparable to the legacy that like the Boston Celtics have in basketball with the just the number of retired players and that kind of winning culture.
Right.
But it's few and far between that you have franchises that have that much of a distinct history of constant success.
Exactly.
I just think Judge, he's his own man, and even going into the season, betting on himself, not accepting what he thinks is less than what he offers. And if he leaves, it would be very crushing as us fans. Yeah. But at the same time, I can also critique upper management for allowing it to even happen, where it should have never gotten that far. And I'll be honest, I'm 50-50 on if he's returning. I don't know.
I don't either. The only time I have animosity towards him if he went to the Red Sox.
And I highly doubt that would happen.
Yeah. If he went to the Red Sox, I would boo him every time. I don't care what he did.
No doubt. No doubt. That's the enemy. And the same way if a Red Sox player comes over to us, I can't blame their fan base for feeling that venom either.
You see how they did Manny Ramirez? I can't get his name. Manny Ramirez.
No, I get it.
Yeah.
But personally, if he leaves us,
Mm-hmm.
I do honestly believe it's going to either be to the San Francisco Giants
Mm-hmm.
or the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Yeah.
The reason why I have to include the Dodgers is just because they got that kind of budget where they could swing something like that.
The Dodgers.
Past those two teams,
Yeah.
I think everybody else is just talking.
I say the Dodgers are like the Yankees of the NL.
Yeah.
You know,
a lot of aspects, in a lot of aspects. And the Yankees don't spend like they used to.
No, they don't. The Dodgers, the Mets, just surpassed the highest spending team. I think the Dodgers are right behind them. I think I saw that this morning. So, yeah.
It would be a tough pill to swallow for him to essentially encrypt his name into every and all Yankee record that matters offensively, and then to move along in that very next offseason. Because I'll be honest, of course I want the Yankees to win the World Series, and of course they have a puncher's chance, but I'd be lying to you if I think the Yankees are going to the World Series this year.
I agree.
So it's unfinished business if he leaves. And that would be a tough pill for any and all Yankee fans to swallow. But I understand that there's a business element to it.
Yep.
And, the man is 30 years old. This is the contract.
Right.
And I'm never going to hate anybody for getting theirs, even if he is my guy, because he is my guy. That is my favorite Yankee.
That's mine too.
Hard not to be, it speaks volumes because of the way he's viewed around Major League Baseball, not just amongst our fans.
Yeah.
I mean, you got Met fans that are knowledgeable that might hate the Yankees that are even like, I want this dude to catch Bonds.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of baseball fans that want that credibility put back in a righteous way.
Yeah. He has a lot of games to do it, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's dwindling down, but the thing is, at his pace, I do think catching Bonds is not happening.
Right.
But I wouldn't rule out catching Sosa.
He might catch Sosa.
I wouldn't rule that out, not for a second. And the way I see it is, any of those dudes that get jumped is a good thing for baseball.
Exactly.
And speaking of New York, the New York Mets punched their ticket to October yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And that's huge for them because this is a franchise that had so much, tumultuous times under the Wilpons.
Oh, man, yeah.
New ownership, second year of the Uncle Stevie era.
Mm-hmm.
And, a lot of doubts during the season. And, the division title is still in question because the Atlanta Braves are still in the mix.
Mm-hmm. One game back.
But you're looking at two teams that have a chance to win the National League, no matter who is the division winner.
They go to Milwaukee next. They go face the Brew Crew. We'll see how that goes. The Brewers, like I said at the break, how they, trade deadline and free agent, they basically gave up. They just said, "Look here, we're done for the season."
And oddly enough, they're still in the mix. That's the part that makes it comical because, in this series where they took 2 out of 3 against our team, they're within 2 games of that final wild card. So it's definitely attainable.
They're still in it. So, in the division, man, the Mets in Atlanta, I knew Atlanta would catch them. They just can't seem to overtake them. They got them for one day. They was the first place, then they fell back again. I think that race is going to go down to the end, man. We'll see what happens.
I think my big question is, I don't think too many people are arguing that the Mets and the Braves are probably the second and third best teams in the NL after the Dodgers.
Yeah.
And I guess you can make a mention for the Cardinals for having a chance to do something special too.
Yeah.
But do any of these teams have a shot at the Dodgers in your estimation?
No. Anything can happen. But the Dodgers are playing. I mean, they've never let up from start to. They've never let up. I mean, I think they got to be at least 20 games ahead in first place.
It's remarkable what they're doing, but looking at it from all aspects, I'm not into diluting anything that a great team does because we all know the Dodgers are a great team.
Yeah, great organization.
But one thing I will say, when you look at the bottom of the NL West, those are two very piss poor teams on the bottom.
Yeah.
And, you factor in playing them 19 times a year. Does that change my opinion on the Dodgers being a great team? No. But I do think that the record could be a little over. I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, when you're a team like the Mets, you're a team like the Braves, they're battle tested because nothing is given in that division in the East.
Right.
And I do believe that does build ultimately what could potentially be a championship pedigree. Because you look at 2 of the last 3 seasons, world champions have come out of that division.
Yep.
You're looking at the Nationals, and you're looking at the Braves. 2 of the last 3 champions, which is interesting because the Nationals, similar to the Braves, were not the best team during the regular season, but they got hot at the right time.
At the right time. I think I'm still picking the Dodgers, but anything can happen. But my pick, I know it's a long shot, man. I'm going with the Cardinals, man. I just think the Cardinals are just gonna. I don't know. For some reason, I just feel the Cardinals are gonna surprise some people.
I think ultimately the Dodgers win the National League as well. But I will say this. I think the Mets have the best chance of anyone to defeat them. And it's basically because I feel the Mets have the pitching.
Yeah.
Offensively, the Mets can frustrate people at times, even though they have some excellent players. When I look roster for roster, you got the obvious, the Pete Alonsos, the Starling Martes, the Francisco Lindors. But when you look around at the rest of that team, I don't think they match up on paper, not only with the Dodgers, also the Braves. But the pitching and the Edwin Diaz factor, in my opinion, having the best year of any closer. That is definitely championship quality that is so viable and valuable in October, where I can't discount the job that Buck's done either.
Yeah. I you know how I feel about the Mets.
Oh, I know.
But I'm trying to be unbiased. I think they'll need to still win the NL East because if they have to go on the road, it might be a little tough. I mean, they got the pitching, they got the hitting.
Yeah, they are really a good home team, similar to the Yankees. The Yankees are a very dominant home team as well this year. But it's kind of the same conversation, or at least how it ends.
Yeah.
If the Mets are going to go to the World Series, they got to beat the Dodgers. And if the Yankees are going to go to the World Series, they got to beat the Astros. But, based on the second half of the season, and yes, I love my Yankees, but I do think that the Seattle Mariners, more than likely our first round matchup, that's going to be scary.
Yeah.
You got to probably face Castillo twice in that series.
Yeah.
And you got to hope that you can win that one of those 2. Because if Castillo is good for 2 wins, that means they only got to beat us one more time.
That's it.
And, are we putting it on Garrett Cole? I think Nestor Cortez is the best of the bunch this year.
I thought Ness was hurt, though.
He's back.
Oh, he's back. Okay.
Yeah, but, it's just the thing with the Yankees is if you look at the trades they made, every member of the Yankees off of trades that have come on have all been injured.
All of them.
And it's pretty remarkable because that never happens.
And they got injured right away.
Benintendi's just unfortunate.
Yeah.
The Yankees have to ask themselves if he's worth bringing back on another contract. I tend to think so.
Yeah.
Harrison Bader's coming back.
Yeah. They got hurt quick, man. I mean, we had just got him. And
and he was really starting to mesh well, and that's the unfortunate part. But the bullpen right now, it's kind of like closer by committee, which you definitely don't want going into October. But just on a positive level, the Yankees are within the top 4 in MLB in team ERA. I still think it comes down to the same old things. Who's gonna help Aaron Judge in that lineup consistently? Because Giancarlo Stanton is having a terrible year for his standards.
And Carpenter's hurt.
Carpenter's hurt, and he is a question mark if he'll be back in time.
Right, we don't know when we're going to get him back.
And
Hicks
the truth is, might not see him play again. Not with us.
Yeah, and Hicks is complaining about no time, but I mean, dude, you got to show us something to get on the field.
And I do like that they've meshed in some of these young kids. I mean, I think that speaks volumes even more to the kind of year that Judge is having, because for a good chunk of this year, Judge has been able to do this with makeshift lineups.
Right.
And, if anything, I think the Yankees have learned that there are some players that are on the veteran level that could be replaceable. A couple of years ago, if I would have said DJ LeMahieu's replaceable, I don't know if I would have made that comment.
Me neither.
Josh Donaldson, while he sports an excellent glove at third, I do think that more times than not, he has been a rally killer.
Yep.
Gleyber Torres is still kind of an enigma.
Yeah. Yeah, Gleyber, he came up against Boston. I was so glad. But sometimes you got okay, wait, where are you, man?
He is a tough guy to figure. I mean, he is on certain parts of the spectrum, he has a lot of clutch hits in ninth innings but on the other, at this juncture of his career, I expect more.
Yeah.
DJ has been marred by injuries the last couple of years. Definitely a professional hitter, but I do think age is starting to catch up with DJ.
Yeah.
And Rizzo with the back issues.
He cannot get back on the field. He can't stay on the field.
But that glove so valuable.
It is
at first, and a very real leadership that he brings too.
It is. We'll see, man.
Gonna be interesting, bro. Like Zappy had said on many a conversation, as Yankee fans, we're hoping that the Rays can continue to serve as the Astros' kryptonite.
Right.
And not saying the Rays is a walk in the park, but I would much rather play the Rays in the ALCS than the Astros.
The Astros, yeah. Especially in Houston.
But as they say, the only way to is through.
Right.
So like anything else, you got to go through hell to get to heaven, and playing the Astros is kind of comparable to hell.
Yeah.
I spoke on this on the show I did with the Olsons. Canelo Alvarez finally got the best of Triple G undisputedly.
Yeah.
A little surprised. I kind of thought that coming off that loss, even though he was out of his weight class, I thought that Canelo was running into an issue here because, in my opinion, Triple G won the second fight and he didn't get it on the cards. It was a draw. The first one was close, but I have no issue with the judges siding with Canelo in the first one. This, I really thought was going to be the swan song for Triple G going out on a dub. But Canelo proves yet again, while he is still one of the best fighters in the world.
Yeah, I expected more out of Triple G in this fight. He started slow, then he had to start to have his moments, but by then it was catch up time, and Canelo was able to counterpunch him and keep him off balance. The thing about it, people say, "Oh, it's over for Triple G." Nah, it's not over for Triple G. He's still a middleweight champion. Like he said, look, I'm not going anywhere. I'm still a middleweight champion. I didn't lose my titles. I fought in a division, heavier than mine. I still got something left, and which is true. The only man who's beaten him was Canelo. I mean, so
yeah, it's hard to totally diagnose the career trajectory because, I mean, you look at when Manny Pacquiao was doing it.
Mm-hmm.
When Pacquiao started accruing a couple of losses here and there, a lot of people thought he was done.
Right.
A lot of people thought De La Hoya was done. And then these veteran fighters still prove to you, to be honest, you look at a guy like De La Hoya, I feel that his defining moment that showed his true greatness was in a fight that he actually lost against Floyd Mayweather.
Yep, I agree.
I could watch that fight 10 times.
That was a good fight too.
It surely was. And while I understand why Mayweather won, because you have to put the champ on the canvas or at least get him swole up to a certain level.
Right.
I'm sorry, man. I think Oscar won the fight.
Me too. He was pounding. He was pounding Floyd. With Triple G, I said he's 42-2. His only 2 losses have been against Canelo. One was disputed because I felt he won that fight.
I do as well. The first one was really you throw a coin in the air.
Yeah, and this
last one he should have won.
Yeah, this last one, I give it to Canelo. I scored at 116, 112. But Triple G has a lot left. He's still a middleweight champion. and there's still a lot of middleweight fights out there. He got one of the Charlo brothers. He can fight both the Charlo brothers, but they don't seem to want to fight him. Even though he said, "I'll fight them both." I'll fight them both. But they don't want any piece of them. So
this is a good time for boxing in general, because even when you look at the heavyweight division,
yes,
I think Tyson Fury has some legitimate challenges that it's not in the bag that Tyson Fury will continue to be undefeated. His only record blemish was the draw with Wilder in fight 1.
He's ready to fight all of them too, because he told Usyk, like, let's go. Usyk said, I don't know if I want to fight. But then he's like, yeah. So he went and said, well, I'm going to fight Joshua. And now Usyk is like, well, I'm going to fight so-and-so. And, Tyson's like, look, I thought you didn't want to fight.
I think it's a strategy on Usyk's camp to hope to get Fury when he has won too many battles.
Yeah.
But Fury, until anyone proves me different, is not just a hell of a knockout artist in that division, something that is a rarity.
Yeah.
And that makes Fury so damn good, in addition to just being the biggest guy in the ring most times. He is a pure boxer.
He's so slick. For a guy his size.
He is such a good boxer, and that's something that doesn't get stated enough.
He is so slick.
He could play that mental game with you to a level similar to a Floyd Mayweather, obviously different weight classes, similar to a Ray Leonard, similar to a Sugar Ray Robinson. Now I'm mentioning all these guys that are lightweight champs. Mm-hmm. If we're gonna go up to his, I guess you could say to his weight class, a guy that he reminds me of, it's a combination of a few guys.
Mm-hmm.
He reminds me of George Foreman in terms of the power.
Right. Sneaky power too.
Absolute. He reminds me of Joe Frazier because he could take a beating and still be toe-to-toe with you. Mm-hmm. Or even a Donovan Razor Ruddock.
Oh man, whew.
But the truth is, from a mental standpoint, and from the way that he can get in someone's head at the heavyweight division to a level, he reminds me. He has some characteristics of Ali.
I agree.
And the way he uses his weight to his advantage while also being a solid boxer reminds me a little bit of Lennox.
I said Ali, Lennox, yes, and he kind of reminded me of Larry Holmes a little bit, but you nailed those guys. I mean, because Lennox know how to use his weight, and Ali was just so slick. Ali was in your head. He let you do shit, then he hits you. Pow.
Yeah, because when you look at Lennox, I think if there was a critique when he was in his prime, is that people would question if he had the best chin.
Right.
Because Lennox got put to sleep a couple of times by lesser opponents.
Right, McCall and Rockman, yeah.
Yeah, because, anything can happen in a fight.
Yeah, one punch, yeah.
One punch is all it takes sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But, when he fought the best of his era, I think is when his greatness truly was shown. Because anybody could fall asleep at the wheel when they're not being challenged.
Right.
You take a guy like a Riddick Bowe. Mm-hmm. He had 3 wonderful fights with a legendary Evander Holyfield, taking 2 out of 3. But I think what happened to Bowe is when he fought the Polish kid Galata. Galata did lose both fights due to stupidity and getting his ass beat. Yes. That's the thing, though. And I think from a mental level, Riddick Bowe never recovered.
Yeah, but Galata was beating his ass.
Yeah, because he only had 1 defeat in his career.
Yeah.
But to the eye test, he had 3 defeats.
Yeah.
And I think that ultimately did a number on him psychologically. But, boxing is there's so many layers to it. But I guess where we're going is right now is a great time in boxing. But, to close on this fight, a great end to a great trilogy. Mm-hmm. And as far as my Tyson Fury comments go, I think whenever you have different aspects of your fight game that can be compared to some of the legends that I mentioned, it's a great compliment because Ali, obviously, he had the mental game. Yep. Lewis knew how to use his weight and cutting off the ring. He never proved that better than when he fought Mike Tyson.
Right.
And then, you have other fighters.
When he fought David Tua, the same way. He knew how to use his weight and get out of the way. Yeah.
and he showed, and time and time again, he has shown the toughness similar to what a Joe Frazier would show. Or an Evander Holyfield, that warrior's heart. So Tyson Fury, until somebody proves me wrong, he is the best fighter in that weight division.
Yeah.
and it's not really that close.
It's not that close. Woo.
Yeah, man. Last night we saw some serious dominance, and I want to make this clear. Yes, the Titans are going through a potential transition at the quarterback position. And yes, the Vikings have had this bit of reputation for never being as good as they should be, given the talent on the field.
Mm-hmm.
Two good football teams got beat last night. I want to make that clear. What the Eagles and Bills did yesterday was more than just getting a W. I think they asserted themselves not only as a presence in each conference, but as teams that are saying, okay, power rankings, where are you at? We are here now. People already knew Buffalo was there after they slapped around the Rams.
Yeah.
I lost fantasy football in one of my leagues because the Bills chose to take out Josh Allen. Yeah. I needed like 4 points to beat Zappy.
Oh, man.
Defense scored on that when they went up to 41. If the defense don't score, Allen probably has that final drive.
Yeah.
Or if he would have just I made some boo-boos in fantasy. I dropped the Eagles defense going into this week thinking it was going to be a shootout. Picked up Cincinnati, being that they're going to play the Cowboys, whose offense is a little dinged up.
Right.
Instead of playing Chris Olave, as a streamer, I picked up Sterling Shepard. But like I said, I lost by 3 points. I'm going to blame it on and Zappy benched Tua. If he didn't bench Tua, I would have got rocked.
Woo, yeah. Yeah, you'd have felt it. I think with Buffalo, the words of the late Denny Green, they are who we thought they were.
Hell yeah.
They are who we thought they just crown them right now. They are who we thought they were. With the Eagles and the Vikings, the way Detroit was able to put up points on that Eagles defense last week, I figured the Vikings would be able to do the same thing, considering the Vikings are a more seasoned team than the Lions were. No.
Well, there's two ways to look at it, too. When you're dealing with anybody on a home opener, and in Philly's case, it was Detroit's home opener, you're going to get their best punch.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying – I think the Vikings are a lot more like the team that beat the Packers and a lot less like the team that got beat yesterday because, there's a couple of ways to look at this. Nobody scored in the second half.
Right. 24-7 stayed all the way through.
There were some key turnovers in that game that really hurt Minnesota.
Yes, one in the red zone.
They were moving the ball. It's not like, the better team won yesterday, and right now the Eagles are a better team than the Vikings, but, the game was in Philly. I don't think this is the type of – and it was their home opener. I don't think this is the type of thing where the Vikings, got to hit the panic button or anything.
Right.
But, I got to give credit where it's due. Mike Zappy made a great point about that last year's Eagles team was struggling until they decided to take the ball out of Hurts' hands and lean more on the run game and let it come back to Hurts.
Yeah.
And Hurts has improved,
mm-hmm.
but I still feel that the key to beating Philly is you have to force them to throw more than they necessarily want to. In order to do that, you've got to shut down the run,
which is hard.
And it's difficult because, number one, they got a great offensive line, possibly the best in the league.
Mm-hmm.
And on the other aspect of it, you're not seeing the same look more than a few times because they have a quartet of running backs. You got Jalen Hurts, who serves as one of those guys, the quarterback. And you have a three-headed monster at the running back position.
Yeah, you got Boston Scott.
Got a lot of fresh legs in and out of the game.
And, think about Philadelphia. Over the last few years, they've had a pretty healthy offensive line.
They are good.
Yeah, the line stays healthy. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens next week with both teams, Minnesota and Philadelphia. Minnesota, hopefully, this was just a fluke. Going to Philadelphia. Minnesota going to Philadelphia is a fluke because it's Philly's home opener, and Minnesota coming off the emotional win against Green Bay the week prior. So we'll see what happens with that. The Bills, golly, man, 2 back-to-back weeks they just annihilated their opponent.
It was really convincing, and
yeah.
And friend of the show, Zay, I was texting back and forth with him yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
His wife is actually from Buffalo.
Oh, okay.
And we were back and forth, and we both agreed. We're like, bro, this Buffalo team, it's not out of the question to think that they could go undefeated.
The way they're playing, dude, that defense is just crazy.
And, normally in week 2, I don't make some kind of announcement like that or some kind of prediction like that because it's only happened twice in league history in the regular season.
But the defense looks crazy, man. And the offense, God.
I mean, it's early. It's super early, but I will say this. Everybody's riding high on Miami, and Miami should feel good about themselves for what they accomplished.
I'm not convinced.
But I think this week, the Bills are going to prove that while Miami is a good team, the Bills are a great team.
Yeah, I'm not
Miami. The game's in Miami,
yeah.
But I think the Bills are going to win it. It's not going to be a gimme, but I got the Bills winning by 7 to 10 points. I think they're the best team in the pros right now.
I got them by 10 plus.
Yeah, I think you're looking at something in the 34-24 range. Not an official prediction yet. We're going to throw our predictions as the week gets closer. As far as the Titans go, this is a team in transition right now.
Yeah.
Malik Willis era may have already started.
It might have. Mike Vrabel got to get it together, man, because he may be out because, he's had good teams and they just fell up short each year, man. Last year they were number 1 seed, they got knocked out. Year before they was up there, they got knocked out. And then you start off 0-2 this year and not looking particularly well in neither game. They should have beaten the Giants.
They kept the Giants in the game long enough for the Giants to seal the deal.
Right. They should have beaten us. It shouldn't have been close considering what we put out there on the field. We were missing 2 starters on defense. Well, 3 actually. We had no corner help.
Mm-mm.
We got a young offensive line. I mean, they should have beaten our ass and then last night they just get annihilated, just trashed.
Yeah, and I can't say I'm surprised.
I'm not surprised they lost. I'm surprised how they lost and how it got to the point that they, Buffalo pulled Josh Allen. When you pull your starting quarterback when you're winning, that's got to be defeating, man.
If they had the mentality like the way a lot of those Patriot teams did when they used to have a thing about running up the score.
Yeah.
I actually think Buffalo could have put up 60 last night.
Easy.
Yeah, and that's scary because the Titans are not a bad defense. They're not a bad team. I mean, there's a couple of teams around the league that I think we know are better than they're playing, and some of them are maybe just showing some of the warts that they didn't show last year. Like you take a Raiders team that's 0-2.
Right.
I don't think too many people had the Raiders going 0-2.
No, I definitely didn't.
Titans are last year's 1 seed. They're 0-2.
0-2.
Detroit's 1-1, but a lot of people feel that they could be 2-0.
Easy. Yeah.
Jaguars are 1-1. A lot of people feel they could be 2-0.
And who expected them to do what they did to Indianapolis?
And speaking of the Colts, they're 0-2.
And not looking good.
They certainly are not looking like
the
anything that I expected. No, I'll admit it. It's only 2 weeks in, but I was very wrong about the Colts.
Me too.
Very wrong. I really thought Matt Ryan was going to bring something better there, but I'm sorry, bro. You got shut out by the Colts and you tied the Texans.
And Frank Reich is on a hot seat. Look,
as he should be.
You got your quarterback. You got a running back. You got an offensive line. You got a good tight end. Yeah, 2 good receivers. You got a good defense. Why are you 0-2? You're tied against a Houston Texans team that got who on the team? Who's starting the quarterback? You know what I mean? He's not going to knock anyone's doors down. Then you get shut out by the Jacksonville Jaguars.
And I got to shout out Zappy.
Yeah,
for saying the Texans are going to be in a lot more games, and he was right about that. But this is a division that, I mean, the Titans could get their shit together and win it at 8-9. They still have they're far from dead.
Yeah,
you got an upstart Jaguar team that could win this division.
Look like it might be up for grabs, man.
Very much so. I would say out of any division in the NFL, because of the disappointment that is the Indianapolis Colts, this is truly anyone's division.
Yeah. Woo. Gotta keep an eye on it.
We're going to dive into more of this as the week moves along because obviously Idris and I are Giant fans and Zappy is a Cowboy. What are your keys to victory, Idris, for each team? Or if you want to talk about the Giants and bring it back, I'm going to hit on both of them. But you start this one up.
I think both teams have the same strengths and the same weaknesses. Both teams need to protect the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Period. Both teams are vulnerable on the right side. Should I say the left side of the line, offensive line, because we have Thibodeau coming around their left side. They had Micah Parsons coming around our left side. We both got good running backs. I think they have the better tandem because they have Pollard, and that's going to open up a lot. Cooper Rush, not a great quarterback, but from what we've seen, the 2 times he started, he's smart.
Escapable.
Yeah, he's smart. CeeDee Lamb, very fast, very explosive. I don't know how who we're gonna have corner. I know Darnay Holmes. We gotta cut him down, but I'm not even worried about him. I'm worried about the tight end.
If he's a go.
If he's a go.
And that is also a 50-50.
Yeah. We can't start slow. We got to stop starting slow and come on. I mean, second half, we are balling out. Mm-hmm. But we can't do that. This is Dallas. And Dallas, year after year, it's the same thing. They give us a tough game whether we win or we lose. It's always a tough game, whether we're in Dallas or whether we're in New York. It's going to all depends on the offensive line, man.
I noticed in the early going, a lot of analysts are already saying that this is a very hot one for upset of the week. In that case, Dallas winning the game on the road. The Giants are favored. I haven't seen the Vegas line just yet. I'm going to start with the Cowboys' keys to victories, and then I'm going to move it up to what we need to do to win. For the Cowboys, there's good and bad. I watched a decent chunk of that Cincinnati game last week, and the Cowboys' offense is still a shit show. Early in the game, they put together a couple of decent drives, but that evaporated quickly. Mm-hmm. Diggs really did a great job on Jamar Chase. Mm-hmm. And Burrow was under duress, opening up the question if the Bengals did enough to fix that line. In the early going this year against the Steelers and Cowboys, the answer is no.
Definitely no.
In order for the Cowboys to win this game, I feel that they have to be able to keep the Giants honest. The Giants are pretty good at stuff in the run this year, particularly on first and second downs. And I do believe that Dallas has to be able to run the ball efficiently to take some heat off of Cooper Kupp. I said it too. I did it too.
It's hard, man.
Yeah. Off of you did. Yeah, that's funny. But, off for Cooper Rush. Giants' keys to victory. They have 2 inspired wins. We're only averaging 20 points a game in the early going, yet we're 2-0. Which means that we're giving up under 20 a game, which is something to feel good about.
Right.
Daniel Jones, it's a mixed bag. Mm-hmm. I think that he's shown some moxie late in games to put games away 2 consecutive weeks. Yeah. But at the same time, he threw a pass that should have been picked, that should have killed us. Yeah. And we were very fortunate that did not happen. Saquon Barkley did not have a lot of holes against Carolina, nothing like he had in the Titan game.
Right.
And that's going to continue to be a concern. The O-line has not performed at the level that I expected just yet. I also take into consideration it's a weird mix. It's like you got age and youth kind of boshed together. Yeah. Evan Neal and Andrew Thomas alike are going to have 2 huge challenges this week. But I would like to see the Giants come out early and script no huddle, because I do believe that in order to beat them, the pass has to open up the run. Right. Because it's not going to be the other way around. I want to see a lot of short routes. I want to see, keeping them on their toes So that way we can hit them with Saquon. And yes, I think Saquon is going to have to be a big part of what we do in the passing game as well. Ultimately, like any other football game, I think this comes down to turnovers. Who's going to take care of the football better?
We've been doing good at that.
I will say that. In the early going,
yeah,
we have done well in that regard. It's going to be close. I'm not giving my prediction just yet, but what I will say is that whatever the result is, we are looking at a one-score game, and I predict it to be in the low 20s.
I agree. I'm glad we picked up Jalen Smith.
Yeah, let's elaborate on that. I was very excited myself.
He fits Wink's scheme because he's fast. He can tackle. He can hit. It's up here. You know.
Oh yeah.
And, can you stay injury free? Because he'll be a real good addition. He'll do what Blake Martinez probably couldn't do. And Blake was good,
especially post knee injury. You know, the Giants are dealing with a big injury in their own right. I didn't get the latest on Leonard Williams, but just based on what I believe, I think Leonard's looking at least 2 to 3 weeks on the sidelines.
Yeah. That's going to hurt too.
Best case scenario, maybe he makes the England trip, but I wouldn't bank on it. Jalen played well for us in the final month of the year, and I do think that with Wink's desire to want to blitz, and then in the other tone, Jalen does have speed, and when you're getting a player who used to be a great player, who had a fall off, he's still young, he's still coachable, he's still got a good attitude.
I think coming back to the Giants is a good fit because, like I say, he had a good good end of the season last year.
Yeah,
and
had a little bit of an audition.
For them to bring him back and he's in a situation that fits his skill set. And and this is not being a homer with our coach. We got a good coach. We got a player's coach. We got a coach who's like, look here, I'm gonna love you when you're doing great, and I'm gonna get on you when you're doing bad. You know,
I just love it because if Jalen pans out, they got him for the biggest of a bargain.
Yes,
and
we didn't have any money.
That's the whole thing. Like, but when you're talking about a multiple-time Pro Bowler, who got his career started late because of injuries. He fell out of favor in Dallas.
Yeah, then went to Green Bay.
Yeah, Green Bay just once again not the right fit.
Right. Yeah,
not the right fit.
Dude. We got him cheap. We got him, boy. It's like walking to the grocery store and not having enough money and say, "Oh, sure, I can still get that." You know.
And speaking of fits and what makes sense, I actually wondered if Green Bay was going to call Blake Martinez and maybe bring him back. They are the team that drafted him.
Yep.
That did run through my mind as well. And as much as I hate to say it, I don't think that's where his reunion goes. I'm not sure where Blake's going to end up, but I do think he's a good enough football player to make a roster, and I enjoyed watching him the 1 year that he was healthy with us, so I hope he continues. But
he's a leader, man.
Jalen could really be a shot in the arm that this team needs, and don't make any mistake. This is not a coincidence that they brought him back for the Cowboy game.
No, it's not.
I mean, practice squad contract. Yeah. I expect that he'll be on the field maybe 8 to 10 plays. I don't think he's going to be on the field a ton this week. Yeah. I have no idea what kind of condition he is in, but based on his Twitter feeds and some of his socials, it looks like he is kept in phenomenal shape.
Yeah, they'll give him some work. They just didn't bring him in just to bring him in for the hell of it. They'll give him some work.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting, man. And you got some teams that going into the year in week 3 were expected to be playoff teams and this and that. You got a Bengals team playing against the Jets. They could be looking at 0-3. You got the Raiders staring 0-3 in the face, or the Titans. They play each other. One of them's going to be 0-3.
You know something? It's Giants fans are going to hate me for this, but seeing the Jets win, I was like, hell yeah! I was happy. They said last Sunday was the first time since 2009 that the Jets, Giants, Yankees, and Mets won on the same day.
Well, being a New Yorker and knowing how passionate our fans are, regardless if it's the same fan base or a rival fan base in the city, you want teams in New York to be taken more serious. And a big reason why that hasn't happened in the amount of time you said is because the Jets and the Giants, for the better part of it, pretty much since the Christmas Eve game, pretty much since that season was over, have had the two worst losing percentages in the NFL, or I should say the two worst winning percentages in the NFL. I think both of them are approaching better times.
Yeah.
I think both young coaches, Saleh,
man.
Brian Daboll.
I like Saleh. I love, New York got some good football coaches.
Right now they do. Yes, I have to agree. I mean, it's still early in the game, but I tend to believe that Saleh is the best coach the Jets have had since Rex Ryan.
Yeah, because he seemed like he's for the players. Like this is my team, and y'all are not going to trash our team.
But this is a week for both teams in MetLife to really prove it, because if the Jets can beat, for the second year in a row, they did beat them last year, the Cincinnati Bengals.
Ooh.
And if the Giants can win on Monday night, we talked about this before we were on the air, the Giants are not a good Monday Night Football team historically, even if you go back to our great years.
Prime time, period. Yeah.
Like I said, I'll give my prediction as the game gets closer, but very much excited because whatever the result is, the fact that we are getting this amped up for a Week 3 game, given our poor history for the better part of a decade, there's a lot to be excited about. And I think one thing that we can agree on is Brian Daboll is bringing an expectation and a credibility back to that building that hasn't been there for a very long time.
And that's what we didn't have, was credibility.
And Wink is getting a lot of fans in our fan base early.
Yeah. When I heard Wink was coming over, I was like, hell yeah. Because, see, I always liked his name because of Wink Martindale from that old show back in the 60s and 70s. I forgot the name of the show. It might have been this Wink Martindale show.
I never knew the name of the show.
He had Martindale had a I think it was called Password. I can't remember. It was one of those game shows he had. It was his name. The host was Wink Martindale, and I had to look up. I wonder if it's Wink Martindale's son. He's like, no, it's not the same. It's not the same family. Someone gave him the name Wink, and
but so probably somebody who liked the show, probably like a grandparent or something.
That's what it was. And I was like, okay. And I always liked him. Then when I heard he was coming over to the Giant, I said, oh shit.
Well, I think the thing that's encouraging, and why as fans we are hoping so much that Jalen works out, is because we know the terrible cap situation the Giants are in. But that's only temporary.
Right.
This team could bottom out, and maybe this was a tease with the 2-0. This team could win 8 to 10 games. It is all on the table. But the one thing that I like is that Daboll's a coach. He's not coming in with the tough guy stuff. He's not coming in with anything. He's working off a reputation that people say this is what you're going to get.
Right.
And no, he doesn't. Daniel Jones is not performing at a level in 2 games as a Josh Allen, nor do I expect him to.
Right.
But what I have seen in 2 consecutive weeks, Daniel Jones, who is a very imperfect quarterback, has won 2 games for us, has contributed in crunch time to winning 2 games. And that is more that you could say in consecutive weeks for his whole career.
And I want to address some Giants fans I've seen on Twitter. Some of our fans, this is how delusional some of our fans have gotten, or may have been. I don't know. They might be younger guys. They were complaining that if we win a certain amount of games, we're going to lose draft position. And I'm like, look here, if we win 8 games or 9 games, I don't care if we don't get a top 10 draft. We're winning. That means we're getting better. We're getting better.
You do not start a new regime.
No.
Under the premise of tanking.
No. I was like, what are you guys talking about? Man, we don't need to win. We're doing this. Our GM did a great job considering the cap issue we were in.
The fact that they're in games when we both know that this is a very imperfect roster. You're missing Ojulari. You're missing Thibodeau. They're going to finally come back, and now you just lost L-Dub.
Blake is going. Bradbury is going. Logan Ryan is going. We lost a lot.
Jabril's gone.
Yeah, Jabril. We lost a lot. These are all pros. I mean, Thibodeau and Ojulari, but these are all pros we lost. We're playing with receivers like who? You know the
bro. I'm gonna keep it a buck. I didn't know who the fuck Richie James was until I got the new Madden game.
I didn't know who he was until I seen him on the field.
But one thing I do know is that 2 consecutive weeks he is earning his snaps.
That Sills kid.
I love Sills. I'm a fan of his.
The funny thing, I thought he was a black dude until I seen him. I said, "Oh, he's a white dude." That's what I mean. We're playing with guys like, who are these guys? But they're putting in the work. Like, look here, we earned the roster spot. Let's go out there and play.
And that's like, what I like about Dable, because most coaches would feel uncomfortable benching a guy that's making so much money like Kenny Golladay.
Right.
Dable came in and was like, I don't give a shit how much money you
This
make.
Is a competition.
This is a competition, and it's very open competition. Like, for instance, Kadarius only got 7 snaps week 1, and I think he got closer to 18 in week 2.
Yes.
The bottom line is that nothing is given, and what works for the fact that this is a very young team, and this is a very unknown team, unknown in the sense that how much film do you have on the Dable side of Giants football? Week in and week out, he's given a lot of different looks.
You know what he's doing? He's doing what Joe Judge said he would do. Joe Judge said we would go week to week. If we had to run the ball 40 times against the team, we might do it. He's doing what Joe Judge said he was going to do.
And the reality is that the players did like Joe Judge. I'm not going to completely shit on the guy. He was a player's coach.
He was.
And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that he didn't give his best effort. It's just that, unfortunately, and we noticed it in year 2, and a lot of us were wrong, myself included.
Me too.
In year 2, we realized how in over his head he was.
He was. And see, with Dable's taking it week by week.
But the organization didn't compound the problem. They got rid of him.
Right. And Dable's like, I'm taking it week by week. We're going to attack this team with the players we think we need to beat this team with. Rather than, we're going to just play. And
it's exciting, bro, because they're going to have a lot of cap space going into next year.
Right, because
this is just the beginning.
We're playing with young guys that, like I said, like James, I didn't know who he was until he was on the field.
But what I love is that you're seeing guys that want to be there. Guys that don't have that preconceived notion that I'm so-and-so, so I'm guaranteed this. That's one of the best things of all with what we're seeing with this Giants team. And, defense wins. But when you're performing at a certain level on defense, when going into the year, all the experts are saying that you don't have this, and you don't have that, and you don't have this, and you don't have that. It's something to feel good about. And like I said, just the beginning. And this team is going to look a lot different a year from now. But this is the first steps. Yeah, and, building it back is getting back pride. And that's one thing that I'm seeing. These guys are playing hard.
That's why I love our GM. He's like, look here, we got a nickel and dime this, and he got guys that take pay cuts, and we're nickel and diming it, and we look decent. I mean, we look decent because
Darius Toney has to be careful.
Yeah.
Because I'll be honest, I think the Giants are realizing how valuable Sterling Shepard is to that receiving group.
Yes,
it's just on leadership alone. And if Wan'Dale Robinson starts to emerge, I tend to believe that Toney, from a trade value standpoint, being that he is a former first-round pick, but we'll see. Galladay's going to go, but it's a matter of when. And the Giants, while it's maddening, they have to keep him on the roster for now.
Yeah.
They have to, because you cannot justify getting rid of him and having more dead money.
He and with Toney, I'm not a big fan of him, but yesterday he made a good comment. He said, "You know what? People that complain that that they don't play when we win," he said, "No." He said, "I didn't get the playing time I won." He said, "But guess what? We won the game."
That's a start.
I like that. We won the game. He said, "I don't care. We're winning. I don't care. As long as we win."
That's a start.
And with Golladay, he's in. And he I think Toney knows he's on the wall. Like, okay, I think he knows it.
Golladay, sooner or later, is going to get an opportunity to do something for this team. That'll be revealed when. We're coming up on the 22nd mark. Anything you want to say before we get out of here, Idris?
I'm waiting for week 3 to start, man.
I can't wait, man. And we'll be back in the near future with Zappy, possibly Quentin, maybe Brett. We're going to hit on a full detail of week 3. Until next time, I'm Richie, he's Idris, and thank you for watching.